Hello and welcome to episode 196 of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
And top of the Baja to you, Jeffrey.
And top of the Pepsi to you.
I think they're the same company, right?
I think so.
All right, we're corporate shills.
Yeah.
We're sponsored by Pepsi this episode.
Yep.
Jeffrey, how you doing this week? How's this week treated you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Got a lot of game time in, as we will find out.
You will very quickly find out.
But yeah. How was yours?
Very nice.
Your vacation.
You might be able to. I think you can see on the video the distinct outline of where my sunglasses were at the beach all week.
Yeah.
You
can compare my pale ass.
Yeah, it's just like I love to look like to last week to now because I do have very distinct like tan lines that I have not had since last summer, and they will quickly go away because I'm a pasty gamer, and so it will not last. But yes, I did spend the week on the beach, so did not play mini games, but I did actually with my twin 3-year-old nieces put them on Mario Kart. I did the no going off the edge thing and the always going forward and motion controls. So they loved it. They were just like,
oh yeah,
they were doing this stuff. Like it was.
It's one of those things that when it came out, people kind of talk shit about it. Some like it's not for you.
No, this is the use case. Like there's no other way that the Mario Kart would have held their attention for like an hour like it did on this trip if they were having to do things. It was like no, and it was so funny because one of them would just did this the whole time, and we're like, hey, if you stop and just go straight, you'll go faster. Well, so it's just like left, right, left, right, left, right. It was really funny. And then they would get the like star thing, and they were like really excited, and it would go away, and they're like, I want the rainbow. And we're like, well, you got to get a box. You might get the rainbow. And then they would get something else. It's like, I want the rainbow. It's like, I'm sorry.
Well, maybe soon we should teach them about the magic and randomness of Mario Party.
Yeah. I think that might be too complicated for them, like Mario Kart. In a couple years, yeah. So there's going to be a rollout. Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah. So like every age is going to unlock a new game that we can do.
Well, I think they're getting close to the point where you could probably try to give them like a Mario game. And I mean, they're not going to finish it, but playing around it.
Yeah, I got them. They ran around Odyssey, and they were interested in that for like 15 minutes or something. And same thing with Animal Crossing, but they would inevitably be like stuck on a wall or something. And I mean, Mario Kart, we literally were able to go off and do something else, and it's like they can't mess it up. Like it's always going forward, and they're just like, so that was pretty sweet. So that was fun. Yeah. But you know what else is gonna be fun? All the things we're talking about on this podcast, including a lot of new games, including 12 minutes, but we are going to save that for the end because I'm going to let Jeff just unload on spoilers, but we will definitely be spoiler free at the start of it, and then we'll just have a cutoff point where you should probably leave.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, Jeffrey, me and you both got our hands on Tales of Arise.
The demo, not the actual game.
God, I wish. We have not gotten that imported yet.
No. Well, we probably are about getting to the point where reviewers might be getting their hands on it, assuming they, getting it early, which they should.
I hope so, because the game's probably very long.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I will start because Jeff's going to be talking a lot this thing, so I'll give Jeff some vocal cords like a little break here at the beginning. I really, really enjoyed it. I am very excited for this game. Obviously, me and you are fans of the Tales series. You more than me. You play like way more of them than me.
The thing is, I thought about it. We're getting to the point where I've probably been a Tales fan for getting close to 20 years. When I played Symphonia.
We're old. Yes, these are true statements, but I've basically played the Zillia games and love and adore them. I've played most of Vesperia, and then we played a lot of Zestiria and Berseria. Yeah. But did not finish those. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I really love the Tales series. I love playing them with Jeff, but definitely Zestiria and Berseria, we're definitely getting to the point where it's like, this thing needs some budget. It looks like a PS3 game because it is a PS3
Well, yeah,
game.
and leading up to it, as we talked about, we were like, okay, when's the next Tales game? It's like this is by far the longest between mainline entries. Like you can tell.
Yes. And I am happy to report that it's like definitely the budget. You feel the budget in here, like instantaneously. The art style is very beautiful in 60 frames, all of that. It looks like a different game. It doesn't necessarily look like a Tales game. But for better and for worse, but mostly better, when actually playing it, it does feel like a Tales game. Like,
yes, that was a fear I had. I know there was some people like wanting to go away from Tales stuff, mainly non-Tales fans. They're like, oh yeah, we gotta go away from everything. It's like, no, there's some things that make Tales special that should stay in there. Like, especially after playing it, the basics of a Tales battle system is a good solid foundation. I definitely agree they take a step forward with it and change things to make it evolve, which I think based on what we played, they did. But I agree. I didn't think it needed a total revamp.
No. Yeah, and I did think, I mean, just from the over-the-shoulder camera, when you're looking at this game being played, it does look like more of a drastic change than it actually felt when you got in there. Like, when you went into the battle system, it's like, okay, no, this feels like we have an art button and we have normal buttons or whatever. Like, it seems like there is more, like, dodge rolling and like combos and stuff than there maybe are in some of the other ones, but by and large it feels like a Tales battle system, but just like it feels like there's going to be more going on in this one. But it still does feel like
it's kind of interesting, especially if I'm able to take some time away from it and kind of think about it. It is kind of taking bits and pieces from a variety of the Tales battle systems with like it does have a normal attack button, which hasn't really, can't remember the last one. It might have been Xillia on Xillia 2, where it had a normal attack button, because in Bizarrian's Hysteria, if I'm not remembering wrong, it was just arts where you put them in a string and you put them together. What this does is for both ground and air, you pick 3 different arts for both of them, and you can combo those together, but you do have a normal attack button, which is default R1, but you can remap this stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, it already right from the jump, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different moves you have, especially with all these different characters. Like, if you are going to switch around at all,
it was pretty overwhelming at first, because they throw you in with all 6 characters at level 25. So they each have plenty of arts unlocked, and some of them not even equipped. So when I looked through them, it's like, oh god.
I definitely made a conscious effort. Like, I'm not going to try to like feel like I know everyone's every move. Like, I'm gonna play them around with them a little bit, but like, that gets daunting. I'm sure even when I play the main game, I'm probably not gonna play as all the different characters. I'll probably like control them in different ways.
I'm kind of at least glad I did, even though I didn't go crazy with switching around their moves, because like if you just look at the default moves, I do not know names at this point. The guy with the staff, you'd think he was just kind of a melee guy, but you go into his thing, he has a bunch of magic moves and healing as well, so he's kind of a mix of both.
Right. Yeah. And I think this is going to be better when we have like a more gradual build up, because this did kind of feel like chaos like it sometimes, especially when we got to the boss fight, which I really enjoyed, but there was definitely, I was like, just throwing things at it. I don't know. Because it definitely has the Final Fantasy VII remake type thing where you're controlling yourself, but it's also very crucial for you to like order other people around to do things, and you need to be cognizant of like what they're doing or what the right thing to do at that time is. For me, because I didn't know a lot of these, it was just whenever someone's ability popped up, I'm like, just spam them. There's one of these.
Well, my thing is when I down them, I'm like, okay, everyone, do your move. Do the movement. I'm going for the rotation. All 6 of you. Go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But basically, by and large, I think visually and combat-wise, this is what I want. It's like enough of like the actual Tales thing with enough new. I do have concerns about the story and characters. I think just from this 1 hour demo, they were very wooden and kind of like lacked the personality that I feel like even my least favorite Tales game had like a lot more. The characters, I like the characters to some degree, and they had a lot of personality. Even if they were annoying sometimes, they like popped off the screen. They had lots of things going on. These just from the 1 hour, it's just 1 hour, but these characters felt very like, this is heroic guy. This girl's more like stoic or whatever. This person's the jovial person. It was like,
yeah, my hope is, no, I agree with you based on the demo and that, but my hope is like I think I think something we talked about off mic that I don't think helps it is in the skits, where it's mainly you get these character personality. It's the in-game models and like comic strip looking things instead of the anime.
Yeah.
Like works.
Well, yeah, and I think that goes hand in hand. There's just a general, for lack of a better term, westernification or whatever, a westernizing of this that I think they are trying to like tone them down a bit to get a new audience, for better or for worse. You know, like but I'm hoping because like, you know, you're saying we're just throwing in hours into this thing, and the fact that the skits they did show were kind of the generic ones and kind of the partly explain generic things. Like, I think if they did similar things and we played it with Zillia and Bizarria and etc., we might have maybe not as negative feelings about it, but kind of maybe more similar and that kind of thing. I feel like you were saying about the combat, where we start from the beginning, we get that build up. I'm hoping we get that. You know, from actually playing the game, like their personalities will come out more weak. I definitely think that'll happen to some degree. I definitely don't think it's going to be as bad as this like hour showed or anything like that. Because
you know, Tales characters, they're tropes or whatever. They do different things with the tropes a lot.
Right, but I mean, yeah, and this
and I get what you're saying, because you mentioned last night, Maggie Lou is like she radiates personality, and they don't have that, and that is a fear I had like from the very beginning when they were trying to appeal more to Western audience, that was one of those things they would lose somewhat.
Right, and that's the only like, I don't want to like counterpoint this too hard, because I'm not actually fighting for like this is bad and it's gonna be bad, but it's like, even going in the way that you're saying, if we did take the most tutorial random basic like just a line of text or whatever from Magilu or even like Tipo or any of those other ones or whatever, even the most basic one, it's impossible for her to not have personality. That's like her entire character. She doesn't have basic, like, you know, I could probably show you any line of text and you know that it's Magilu just from, and like that's not something I felt from these characters. But like you said, this is a very long game that you're supposed to settle in with these characters.
Kind of the funny thing is Erica Lindbeck voices both Magilu and the main girl for this.
Well, she got range.
Yep. And they're like, oh, we're bringing you back. I think, I can't remember. I think people have listened, and maybe like Soray's voice actor is one of the main guys in the party.
It probably doesn't help that like the main two people both seem like very generic stoic protagonist people, you know.
Well, at the very least, for the main stories, when they showed a more silly side in some of the skits I saw.
Yeah, no, he's more lighthearted than her for sure. Yeah, but it's not even like Soray. I hate him, but he's like at least there's like a element to it. And I just really didn't like the voice acting, which is a first for usually the ancillary voice acting is pretty bad in Tales games, but the main cast, the main cast that's actually important, their voice actors I always think are really good. This was just 1 hour, but I've never had the urge in any of the other Tales games to switch off of the English. This one I'm like, I want to see what the Japanese is like, you know. But overall, what did you think?
I feel very strong, you know, very good about this. Like we were saying with the combat and just visually how it looked, and even though it's just one area, like, and this goes with the visuals, just kind of that one area that pretty much the one area you play, and it's like just a lot more interesting than pretty much any area of any Tales, like visually,
very and beautiful,
and even if the layout isn't crazy, just it being, you know, I think it had some slight variation as far as those, but the visual upgrade just made it look a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I did feel like the visual upgrade is the upgrade. When it came to actual like level design, it felt like a Tales game. Like it did not feel like I had this like level of interactability with the world. It still felt like kind of like, you know, I go up to the edge and there's like a invisible barrier, and you know, it's like it's more of a guided path RPG, which honestly, all JRPGs are traditionally way more guided path than Western RPGs. That's just kind of a staple of the genre. There's two different like philosophies, but I do think this world makes it seem like it's going to be like, oh, I can do it. But it's like, it felt like a Tales environment. But I do think the visuals and everything else, it's more smaller upgrades when you feel it, but like everything looks and just is presented in such a better way, which is honestly all I needed, because I like the Tails formula. It just like it was just so obviously held back by its budget. I think it's okay to have that general formula, but just like throw some more money on it. You know?
I think we talked about this before, Darby. I say before we move on, I bring up this question, and I was just reminded of it because of Fred, etc. What do you think the odds are this becomes the new best-selling Tales game? The reception to this demo has been very positive.
Yeah. I think high. I also don't think this is gonna be like a huge breakout thing.
Just for people who don't know, like the top selling one is just barely over 2 million.
Yeah,
so like
that's why
2.5 million would do it. For instance,
and I think this is
very
help
doable.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be the most popular Tales has ever been. But I did think from looking at some of the early things that like even some non-JRPG people who just like action games might get into this, or just like Western RPGs might get into this. I feel less that way now. Like it feels more like this is kind of for the Tales audience, but I do think it'll get some other people who already probably would have liked Tales if they tried it, and now this is going to get them to try it.
Yeah, I feel like what will help is it'll have the Tales diehards like us. It'll probably grab some lapsed Tales fans that were just kind of got over it because of the lack of innovation or whatever, and then grab some new people on the way.
Yeah, some general JRPG people that maybe just haven't tried Tales and everything. And I do think it's going to get out of that. Like I think this is going to be a success. I don't think this is going to be such a mainstream. I don't think it's built in a way to be.
Yeah, I understand. You don't expect it to get to near Automata Persona 5 levels.
No, right, correct.
Which is, when people talk about breakout JRPGs, those are the two.
Right, correct.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think relative to what the expectations are, this might like do better than like. I'm not saying it actually will sell better, but like relative to like expectations of budget, it might be more like Dragon Quest 11. Like it might surpass Dragon Quest 11 as far as like this is what we want. We have a Western audience now,
Yeah.
I think Dragon Quest 11 wants to be Final Fantasy and it can't.
Yeah,
is the hard part. But like I think this is gonna like slot in more of the like Yakuza type area where it's like it's more popular than it's ever been, but it still has lots of room to grow. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get a Tails character for the last character in Smash. Not happening, but I want it. Well, speaking of Nintendo shit, Darby.
Speaking of Nintendo.
I played the demo, the surprise Shadow Drop demo for WarioWare Get It Together. The new game, which I kept on forgetting comes out in like a couple weeks, the same days as Tales, actually.
Yeah, it's that Life is Strange shit.
Yeah, all the same day. I'm like, fuck my wallet.
Why do we keep doing this shit?
I don't know. I don't know.
We have so many empty spots, and then everyone just picks the same day.
Yeah. So this is a damn good demo.
Did they get it together, Jeff?
They did get it together. I think for the game, the type of game this is, I don't think you could ask for a better demo than the way this demo is.
Yeah.
So the way it works, you start out, it introduces the thing of like, Wario's the guy, blah, blah, blah. He's making a new game. Or I think they're like sucked into the game now or something. I don't know.
You die in the game, you die in real life.
Yes. Yeah. So you start off with Wario and you're going through the micro games. And the new gimmick for this WarioWare is instead of just, you're technically playing as the characters going through it, but you're just doing whatever random shit's on the micro game. You were actually playing as those individual characters in the micro game, and each character has a different move set. It's a very simple thing, but they are very different from what I played so far, and there are going to be a good many of them. For the example, the ones they gave me, Wario, who has a jetpack and can like fly forward or whatever, kind of punch forward. You got, I think his name's Little Cricket, a little kung fu kid who can just jump, move around the ground and then jump, and you can hold the jump button down to jump higher. And then you got 18 Volt, who just sits there and shoots discs out of his head to hit targets. But they did show in a tutorial there might be the potential for little slot things where if you shoot towards it, drags into it.
Okay.
So there might be some crazy stuff going on there. So I think I saw some people say they're like about 20-ish micro games out of the 200 plus that are in the main game. So only about a tenth of the games.
Nice.
And you go through it. You start with Wario, and you do a couple. Then you unlock Young Cricket or whatever. Then you unlocked 18 Volt and do the tutorials. And it's quickly like, oh yes, these characters are very different. And during my little playtime, I just did one playthrough until I lost all my lives. Like you fail 3 times and you're out. Mm-hmm. And I got a couple repeats, and it's like, oh yeah, these are very different. The example I told you about is you have a little watch or whatever, you're trying to hypnotize someone. Mm-hmm. With Wario, it was pretty simple because I just flew up and kept on flying forward and just flying and not swinging it. Then the second time I did it, I was Young Cricket, so I had to jump, but I was under it, so it was hard to get the angle to get it really going consistently, so I failed.
Right.
So that's one of the things that shows, yes, depending on what character will change the difficulty of these games.
You would hope that there's going to be some characters that's like super ill-fitted for one, but then there's another one.
Yes, 100%. There might be some, but I'm not trying to think about it because these games are quick. You see what games come and it's like, oh shit, I got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some you see this game like, fuck, this character sucks for this. And at the very end of it, I did hit tutorial, but I didn't play as her in an actual micro game. I unlocked Monica, and she's like on her moped looking thing and flying around. So she flies around like Wario, but she is continuously going. So you can't stop her. You can't stop her. So you just got to steer in her direction. But you can also throw her boomerang, and then when you throw the boomerang, it does the same thing. It keeps on going, but you control its motion.
Okay, so you're controlling both of them or something?
I can't remember because I only did it for 2 seconds. I don't think you control at the same time. I think it's like once you throw the boomerang, you just take control of that. The Monica kind of stays in place, I think.
Okay.
And the micro games are fun, they're silly, and one thing that I'm probably gonna smile at are the Nintendo based ones. I got one of them. I told you about it.
Yeah, so good.
It's Splatoon 2 based. You got Judd and Little Judd, and it's the end of Splatoon map where everything's all inked up. You have to quickly get on the side of which one won.
That's really good because there's so many times in Splatoon that it's a really close match. It comes up and you're like.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for that one. It's like a couple different maps that it does, so it's not just the same one every time. I imagine that's the case for sure. But yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed this demo. It really sells the gimmick of this game and why it's different from other WarioWare games, but why it's also really good.
Yeah, the whole character ability thing is just not something I would have thought of I wouldn't have thought of changing the person you're playing as to have different abilities that fit different things. That is an interesting idea.
And I think, if I understood right, if the main game is like the demo, when you go in, and it might depend on the game mode, when you go into the different things to play the micro games, you select maybe up to 3 characters, whatever one you decide to do, but which one you get for each game is random. So you're suddenly like, oh, you're playing as Warrior now, and here's the game.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit, am I playing? Oh, shit, this is the game. Oh.
But you can choose any character for any game, technically, or something?
I think it's kind of like it might be dependent on the mode, because I know there are going to be multiple modes in this game. It might be like you kind of select a theme, and then you select 3 characters, and you get a random character and micro game every time. So you may not select Wario and then go into a micro game. It might be you select Wario as one of 3, but you just happen to get him for this game.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that, but that's the vibe I got.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters to balance between all these different wacky games.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played a WarioWare game, and I've always, besides Game and Wario, which is a little different, I played them on my own. So
I know I've asked this before, but is there a campaign that you're going through when you play this?
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, you're kind of going through it, and I think it's a way to unlock the micro games, and especially with this, because this is how you're going to unlock characters.
Yeah.
That'll probably be something I want to do, go through it, so when we get to the point where, because there are going to be 4-player modes, I can unlock characters so we can use them in a party setting.
And then, so if we got in the 2-player mode, we just sat down to play WarioWare. Is the default thing just we play a certain amount of micro games, and whoever wins the most wins?
I think that probably is a mode. It's something similar to it, but there is a 2-player mode where me and you are working together.
Okay.
I think just to do these games, and then I think there might be 2 players specific micro games to where you need 2 players to work together to do it.
Okay.
If I remember right, based on the trailer.
Are these made by like a third party company or?
Let me look.
I just really don't know much about WarioWare. I'm don't mean to ask you.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
This one is it's from Intelligence Systems, the Fire Emblem Paper Mario guys. Yeah,
man, they do a lot of different things. Then.
Yep, it's one of the Intelligence Systems. Is one of those things. They're not owned by Nintendo.
Yeah,
but
only do Nintendo stuff,
and they sometimes make their best stuff.
none of those games are really like each other at all.
No. Yeah. Like if for some reason, like. Intelligence System is one of those ones where Nintendo announced they bought them tomorrow. So there'll be a lot of people shocked that's like, wait, they weren't already owned?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, good. Because I imagine if that happened, it'd be like, oh, there was talk about them potentially doing something else. And we're like, no, we're locking you down. You make us too much good stuff.
Those fools are jumping around to IPs like crazy, including like kind of older ones. So maybe they'll put them on an F-Zero game or something at some point.
But I think they've worked on WarioWare for a while. I think it's not just like the first time. I think it has been Fire Emblem, at least for less than a while. Fire Emblem, Paper Mario, and WarioWare have been their bread and butter. They kind of have multiple teams and switch it around with those.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, yes, Jeff. I am excited for this game. This sounds like it'll be fun.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about it. Like a lot of people going into the character thing just sounded weird. But again, playing it, I'm like, oh, yeah.
I would understand being trepidatious because there's been a bunch of these and they might, like, sometimes they try to add a gimmick on one of these things that just kind of ruin it. Like the freaking car for Mario Party, Wii U or whatever. Things like that. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think this is going to be a game I get myself, but just like,
I don't think you have any reason to. If
I will have the most fun playing it with you anyway. So,
and I'm very curious to see how it sells. If I don't know what the best-selling WarioWare game is, but the demo has just had nothing but universal praise. Like
just being on the Switch, it'll probably automatically be the best-selling WarioWare.
Yeah, especially if it's as good as the demo makes it seem as well. It's like, yeah.
I feel good about it surpassing whatever it previously did. For WarioWare, I don't know what that means, but like at least I see it at least selling like 2 billion. Ooh, imagine that.
It's gonna be very happy.
Becomes the best-selling game of all time
by a fair margin.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Wario's new mascot of Nintendo. Mario is dead.
Finally, Ashley will get into Smash.
Oh god, Lord.
All right, Darby. Time to move on. Darby, I have completed Cristales.
Oh shit! Did you tell me that?
I did tell you that.
Okay, I knew you'd play. Yeah, I remember you saying this now. I just didn't ask any follow-up questions, so now I'll ask follow-up questions. How was it?
It was good. I am a little disappointed in overall. I don't think it's necessarily a surprise based on kind of what I've said in the past and what other people are saying. Like I call and fall in line people with generally what people said, even if I feel like I'm a little more positive overall. I really love the ideas they did here. I love the style and all that, but it does, as you go through it, kind of feel like their ideas maybe were a little too ambitious for the size of their team and budget. It is to the point where, like, I think they did well enough here to where I look forward to whatever this team does next. But for this game, it's like they kind of unfortunately didn't meet up to the expectations. And I might have had too high of ones, despite, with knowing what they were like they were going for and knowing it's an indie game.
Yeah, but the things they definitely said, I mean, it's kind of one of those. I don't think it's wrong because it needed to like cash in on like that time mechanic and everything else in a satisfying, unique way. Because if it didn't do that, then it's just like, all right, well, we have an overabundance of traditional art like JRPGs. Like there's not something we need more of. We have like so many of them. So like I kind of feel like that's the thing you needed to hit on. Like you needed to put a lot more eggs in that basket. Like it didn't need to be what it sounds like is like a neat little mechanic here and there to be like set dressing over a very traditional JRPG format. It needed to be the opposite. It needed to have like some of those JRPG roots to hook you in, but then it's like this is
Yeah.
They just needed to be like more hard in on that stuff. And that's why I was out very fast. And I mean, it does sound like there's something there if you enjoy traditional JRPGs, but not
as
lot,
much of the like added on stuff like you were saying as you were kind of hoping. And kind of what a bunch of people and reviewers said, the ending did go on pretty long, a good bit of backtracking and all that kind of stuff.
So
that's
it really is a traditional JRPG.
Yeah, you're like going back to this place again and going through the same stuff. So it's kind of like the pacing could have been better there. They could have probably cut some fat there, even by JRPG standards. This is a relatively short game.
Yeah, and if you're already feeling like it's bloated, then that's probably not a good time.
Yeah. But I mean, the general time, as I'd say, it's like what you were doing with it. I could have definitely handled that amount of time if just going to new places.
Actually. I mean, it's the worst thing when the game feels like this should have been like a fourth as long, but you just kind of add in a bunch of fluff time by walking.
Yeah, again, has really good ideas, and the basic JRPG or basic JRPG battles, and as I said before, I think was well done. I just wish the game was more difficult. I feel it's one of those things, kind of like Pokemon. Like I generally have a Pokemon. I like the mechanics a lot, core mechanics, but unfortunately, if there's no challenge there, and it doesn't really help the game that much.
Yeah.
So I would like more pushback from enemies.
And I take it the story didn't really do anything too interesting because you haven't said anything about that. So
yeah, it was pretty basic overall. It was fun. I liked the characters and a lot of all that, but it didn't go as crazy as you would like with time as much.
Yeah, and that was kind of, again, that's your thing. That's your hook. If I was like in the meeting room, I'd be like, no. This is the thing. This is the thing that people are excited about your game for. Do that.
It did some cool things, but nothing like too crazy, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
Yep. Overall, very fun game, and I really enjoyed my time with it and everything. I think it's a really good game. Just I had really high expectations for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, this is just one of those things that the next thing they do is like
step up.
Elements of this, but they've obviously learned a lot of lessons. I mean, I could see that happening for sure.
Like the good foundations and good ideas here to be expanded on.
This might have gotten more publicity than they were ready for. For the game they were making.
Yeah. Yep. Alrighty.
The last one, it's a weird one. I had never heard. In fact, I need to like Google this just so I can like see what the hell.
So,
is Nintendo gonna come and like arrest me if I Google this?
Well, then they're already on the way because I like Googled it.
And you're about to incriminate yourself on YouTube. So
yep. So I've been playing a Pokemon fan game called Pokemon Insurgence.
Very legit.
Very legit. Very legit. Very easy to download. You don't need to download an emulator. You should just download the game from the website.
That's hilarious.
It is the easiest one I've ever seen. Like ROM hack or whatever. So yeah, it is a Pokemon game. It kind of like the old school. It's like style wise is kind of like a Gen 4-ish kind of thing. More Gen 4 as far as style for it. But it is a dark, edgy version of Pokemon. Ooh. It starts off with, hey, do you want to play like, what kind of story do you want? Do you want kind of more of a normal one where, like a normal Pokemon story, but more characters and more talking and dialogue and stuff? Or do you want a dark one where the enemies are cults and people die on screen? I was like, I'm going dark, of
obviously. Yeah, what kind of question is that?
Not a fucking loser. Pick that, and then like very quickly, a cultist gets sacrificed to summon Darkrai. Like, let's go. But as far as the actual game itself, compared to other Pokemon games, I really like this because it is Pokemon, but it is a more difficult version of Pokemon. It actually has difficulty settings. It has a Nuzlocke mode. I'm not doing that. I'm just kind of going through it so I can catch whatever the fuck I want. But yeah, I'm playing on normal just to kind of go through it and see how it is. You can change it at any time, which is nice. But even the normal is definitely more difficult than any normal Pokemon game, because you can already tell like, oh, this AI actually has a brain.
Whoa.
And like it's they actually kind of use strategies and actually think they actually switch out Pokemon when it'd be probably advantageous for them to have a different one.
Oh my god.
So that's crazy. And I've only done one gym leader. Something I really like about the gyms is, you saw Sword and Shield. Each gym, the Pokemon, the leader only focus on one type.
Yeah.
There's some that focus on two types. So you can't just go in with like one Pokemon and steamroll.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do that anyway, because it's a lot harder to kill things, one-shot enemies in here than it is in normal Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Unless you're very over-leveled. So like the first one I did, I've only done, like I said, only one, and it was a fire grass gym leader. And they actually did a kind of, they were just focused on it. I don't know if people actually do this in competitive, but they solely focus on it, where they use the strategy sunny days a mood or droughts an ability, which makes the sun come out bright, and then it increases fire moves. But for the grass Pokemon, it allows them to use the move Solar Beam in one turn, because normally you got to charge it up because they need to soak in the sun energy. But then it's like, no, this 150 power move that you can just send it out like that. So that's a legitimate strategy people use, and the gym leader's using it. And I, after the fact, looked up to see the gym leader, like what's the difference between normal and hard. Well, the difference is they are stronger. Their move sets are better. In the case of this first gym, they had an additional Pokemon, and they also had held items that would make them even stronger. Like, and I think I might have heard that the champion of this game might have perfect EVs, which I understand if you don't know that, or people may not understand what that means. When you groom Pokemon and stuff, like raise them, you can kind of influence stats by like how you train them and stuff to get the perfect stat for that Pokemon. So these are going to be perfectly trained Pokemon at the end. And also, I think the Pokemon champion is going to be close to level 100. Because I'm grinding for the second gym, and I think they're like level 35 in the second gym. There was like the fifth gym, Darby or something like that, in Sword and Shield, fourth or fifth gym when we got to that level.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah.
Nice and crazy. And something else I really also like, because we're going to get to when we talk about Pokemon Presents, I'm really into the regional versions of Pokemon that the Pokemon Company has introduced in the last couple generations. This game only has Pokemon Gens 1 through 6, so I think it might have been made before Gen 7 Alola, where they introduced them, might have been made. But they kind of have their own version of it called Delta Pokemon, where their in-universe reason for the most part is scientists fucked with their DNA, so they can't. They're just different. So they have a bunch of those going around. For your starter, you can pick an Eevee, or you can pick a Delta version of Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, where they're different types. Bulbasaur is Fairy Psychic, Charmander is Ghost Dragon, and Squirtle is Fighting Dark. And the designs are crazy different. Like Charmander is a black skeleton lizard thing, and has like blue ghost fire.
Hell yeah.
All that crazy shit. And I'm really into all that. The typings have been fun and crazy and all that kind of stuff. And the designs have been pretty good overall, I'd say, since they're all fan designs for those. So that's been a lot of fun.
Well, if Pokemon won't do it, you gotta do it yourself.
Yep. So I recommend this to people who like Pokemon who want.
I mean, that kind of shows you don't need to change much to make Pokemon more interesting. Honestly, you can make a Pokemon more interesting by just having in-game options to make some of this stuff.
That's harder. What I've been saying.
It's not that hard, guys.
Yep.
Just do it. That's cool. I'm slightly surprised this thing is able to stay up.
Yeah. It feels like because it's one of those things, the difference between Nintendo and Pokemon Company. Because there've been fan ROMs and stuff up forever, and because they're technically free or whatever, they might just kind of leave it alone.
Nintendo is like cares weirdly a lot about things that it's like there being like a little like fan-made Metroid game is not gonna like cost you any sales of your super old Metroid games or whatever like that. And I think Pokemon company probably realized that they're sitting there counting their money and they're like, they're doing what? Whatever. They're not making any money off of it. Okay, sure. Yeah. And it keeps counting their money. It's like, because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they're just not as big of a, like, they're not like, I think Nintendo is just weird about this. I think Pokemon company probably just realizes that this is insignificant to them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yep, very fun, and I'm sure we'll talk about more in the future as I get through it and what crazy shit I'll see. I just got a Delta Gardevoir, and it's pretty fun. It's a electric ice type.
I mostly want to know what fucked up things happen in the story. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too deep into the story yet, but I'm relatively early in the game. I'll let you know what crazy shit happens.
I want to know when, like, you know, Garchomp like decapitates someone.
I got a funny story thing from the end game, just real quick before we move on. So the first gym leader, you go around this, you know, naturally what you do in these JRPGs is you go around and talk to everyone because they might give you free shit.
Of course.
And they give you a bunch of free shit in this game. So I'm like, I'm eating this shit up. I talked to one guy in that first. He's like, oh yeah, our gym leader. He's kind of young. He's also kind of weird. He kind of has like a best friend's like a rock. So you go up to him and he has a little white rock sitting next to him in the gym. He's like, oh yeah, can you help me move my rock so we can get a good view of the battle? And I know you're thinking, you know, everyone asks about the rock. It gets very lonely when you sit up here as a gym leader. You're just by yourself all the time. No one comes around set to challenge you. So I, you know, kind of make friends where you can. And then you beat him and the cultists attack the gym.
No.
Because apparently the rock houses a legendary Pokemon that the cultists are after. And then then after the cultists leave, or once they're there, the Pokemon breaks out of the rock and goes away. And they're like, the guy's kind of sad. It's like, oh, but once the cultists leave, the Pokemon comes back to its friend.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it comes back to its friend.
That's awesome. So he just has this Pokemon now.
Yes, he was like, I knew you were real. I knew you had a living creature in you. They said it was crazy.
That's funny. I like that. And then you'll have to fight him later again.
Probably. God, have a legendary
Victory Road or whatever the fuck it's called.
True. We'll probably have some weird version of it. Okay, Terry.
Speaking of Pokemon, news jingle.
Jingle, jingle, jangle. Yes, Darby. Speaking of Pokemon, we had a Pokemon Presents, which you can go on youtube.com/nerdsalarge and see my reaction.
Click the button down there, down on Jeff, to get to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then go watch it.
Yes. I did my reactions, and we're going to talk about some of the things here. We're not going to talk about everything. We're not going to talk about talk about Pokemon Master Sex.
That's all I want to
talk about. In Pokemon Cafe.
But Jeff, where the fuck is Pokemon Sleep?
I think Pokemon Sleep's dead.
I think they made that trailer just to see if people would believe them. They're like, look, people actually think this is a real product.
I think it was obviously a thing, and then something went wrong. Like, okay, maybe they realized, oh, this is stupid, so they just kind of scrapped it.
but you know, you're right. This is stupid.
And they expected people to forget, but people haven't forgotten.
Oh, we don't. How could we forget?
Yeah,
I will never forget. It's burned into my head. All right.
Did they ever that Pokemon teeth thing ever release? The Pokemon brushing your teeth.
Yeah, they did have a fucking thing.
I don't know if that really. Moving on. Yeah, we'll start out with the big thing. The thing everyone was excited about. Pokemon Legends Arceus. You know, Dari, I said last week, all I really wanted out of this presentation, main thing I wanted was about at least 10-ish minutes of good quality information for this game.
He did say that.
And we got it.
And he got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
We got it. So yeah, we got to see a trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus and got some explanation for what was in the trailer. Exactly what I wanted to figure out kind of more what this gameplay loop is there. But they kind of leave a little information off the table to, you know, tease you a little more.
I don't think of balls.
At least hopefully. Hopefully that's not everything. Anyway, I liked what I saw.
Good.
Yes. I don't want to focus on the graphics. That's what everyone does. It is rough. It is not. good. They could do a lot better.
I think it looks good at times.
Yeah, it's been talked about a million times. I don't want to focus on that.
It just looks like early.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not. It's like how the game's gonna look. I mean, but it looks like what they're going for.
Well, I guess. I say I don't want to talk about it, but I guess I guess I will say this as far as comparison. There were times when the frame rate obviously dropped, but it is greatly improved from that first trailer. There was just like in that first one, like one Pokemon on screen, and yeah, the frame rate dropped to single digits.
Yeah.
We had multiple Pokemon on the screen. You were flying, and I say it looked like it was at least running well, even if the graphical fidelity wasn't the best.
Yeah.
So that made me feel, that pleased me.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially since they got another 5-ish months to kind of.
But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like, no, for like you who've been wanting like an open world Pokemon game your entire life, this looks like it's doing a lot of the things that you would want out of that. Yes,
and this is I think this is more like from a gameplay thing that kind of changes people wanted. Again, we'll need to see how the game actually like plays and what the exact gameplay loop is, but it is a pretty big change overall. You're still battling, it is still turn-based, but at least in the battle thing, they added the whole like Final Fantasy X turn order thing, which you can manipulate with the agile style and strong style. Strong style making your moves more powerful, agile style, making you faster, but the move is weaker, and making you go up or down the turn order. Right. So you maybe attack twice in a row. Right. And I also like that they kind of balance it out, especially with agile style. It's like, then why wouldn't you just like agile style, move that makes you stronger and then attack anyway? People noticed, it uses 2 power points. That many times you can use a move whenever you use one of these styles. Like, great, that's all I need to see. Yep. Some semblance of balance you actually got to think about and not just spam. But yeah, I like how you go around this world. They showed a couple new Pokemon, which we'll get into, that you can use to travel, like Werdeer and Basque Legion, and the new version of Bravery to go around. Like you can fly and glide and stuff, and surf and all that. Like, yep. It's exactly what I think they needed to show off, get people excited about going around this world some. Yeah. I'm curious to see if it's always those Pokemon, or there are a couple you can kind of switch through, Or like, do you have to have these Pokemon in your party? Like, what's that all about? Was it just those Pokemon because of the ones that we're announcing here, or
could be?
Yeah. Just don't know, Darby. Just don't know. But also something I like is that other wild Pokemon can fuck up your trainer. They can attack you.
Gosh, man. He bleeds out all over.
Yeah. It's a very good trailer moment when you just see a Pokemon just use a Thunderbolt and just shock your trainer. And then they black out.
You're like, wait a minute.
And then an Ursaring is lunging at them and they're dodging out of the way.
This is not fair. It's against the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, in the Pokemon games, the Origin thinking games, you can't go out in the tall grass without a Pokemon. What if you get attacked? And then you're like, it's only Pidgeys. Well, what do I need those things for? And then it's just like, I do need Pokemon out here.
Pidgey pecking your eyes out.
Yeah. Attacking you, all of that shit. So what I think it's cool as far as when you're starting, like, you don't have to battle these Pokemon. You can kind of sneak up and try to capture them or do whatever. But what I also like is it's not you touch them and you go to a battle screen. The battle starts when you throw out one of your Pokemon towards them, and you can see a little thing at the bottom where you can press like one of the bumpers and just scroll through your Pokemon to see who to send out. And if you throw it towards a wild Pokemon, that's when the battle starts. And also something I saw someone point out is during the battles, when either your Pokemon was doing a move or the other one was using a big move, the trainer reacted and made fell down or step back. I don't know if that means trainers can get damaged during battles. Just in the area, or I'd be curious to see how that works.
Yeah, if you have a trainer health beater.
And
shit.
So I kind of like this because it does make it feel like we kind of, even if these are kind of basic things more in this world than just Make it feel a little less gamey.
So I want when you're facing someone else and you kill all their Pokemon, you have to attack one more time to attack the trainer. The defensive trainer just sit there.
I'm glad you brought that up, sorry, because this is one of those things that people kind of pointed out that I'm very curious about. We've seen no evidence of trainer battles.
Yeah, which it's supposed to be like ancient. It's supposed to be in the past.
And Pokeball is supposed to be like a new invention.
So
and
it
all
might
that.
just not be.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that. I can see it potentially. I mean, there are characters in this stuff, and there is one of the characters they showed off is the obvious ancestor to the lead bad guy in Diamond and Pearl, which is the region. So it was like, okay, they're probably going to do some kind of heel turn, or the guy who the obvious ancestor to the professor who's supposed to be the good guy in the twist is going to be the bad guy here.
That'd be more interesting.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are going to be some battles at some point, like trainer battles at some point.
Yeah.
I'd just be kind of surprised if there weren't anything like that.
I just wanted to end up being there's a Charizard and the guy's just like, all right, how about a Pokemon?
Oh yeah, something else I thought of. With the whole earlier today, the battle starts when you throw it near a wild Pokemon. I'm curious if you throw one of your Pokemon out close to two Pokemon, it goes into a 2-on-1 scenario where you're fighting two wild Pokemon at once. Because they do show many times that they're Pokemon are kind of in groups or whatever. So I'm curious if they do something with that.
Nice,
pretty interesting.
Were you satisfied with the coziness of the towns?
Yeah, the town is pretty basic, though. It's like, okay, you can go either, it's Game Freak, which is probably at least part of it, and I'm bad with the names for these kind of things, but the kind of town they're going to do just have copy and paste houses. So it's a very convenient thing, but they might just going for that style as well.
A lot of the games have just people standing in a town doing nothing, even modern games.
Mm-hmm. So town seems
crazy bastards like Rockstar to have like Red Dead.
I mean, we haven't seen the old town, so I'm curious to see what more there is to it, especially since there's a chance that might be the one town. Is something interesting. I think this is after seeing this footage and hearing more like how the missions it's structured, because it sounds like you're kind of getting missions and you're going to. It's not like a pure open world. It's like you're going sent and you're just going out into these regions, and those regions are kind of separated. So I think it might be in some ways less Breath of the Wild and more Monster Hunter in structure.
That sounds worse.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how it is. That's just based on what it shows, because there are missions and stuff. There's like a little Monster Hunter-esque journal looking thing, kind of looks like, because you got to do. There's like capture level kind of things where you got to do certain things with these Pokemon to get them upgraded.
Or at least to me, I just love that exploration shit. And like that's my least favorite part about Monster Hunter is that like I was like, why are you restricting me? Just like let me be in the world.
Yeah, we have no way of knowing exactly right now, but it's like that might be a chance of that. It kind of depends how big the areas are. At least looking at it, the areas like they'll probably at least be bigger than Monster Hunter ones.
Yeah.
Maybe so, but you still get the more of the exploration options of Breath of the Wild with stuff. Because obviously all true at this point, there was the leaked stuff before Arceus was revealed, and there is a climbing Pokemon that's been yet to be revealed. The deer that we travel on, the fish, and the flying thing have all been revealed, but we haven't figured out how you climb yet, which is supposed to be a thing in this.
You hop on Meowth's back.
That'd be dope. So before we move on from Legends Arceus, I actually got to talk about the new Pokemon. I kind of mentioned them, but I did not know if we were going to get them, but I'm so happy we did. We are getting new evolutions / regional variants in this game, and I cannot be happier about it.
Hell yeah.
Stantler got a new evolution. Stantler is a Gen 2 Pokemon, so it old as fuck. It's like 20 years old Pokemon finally got an evolution. Deer.
Old man.
Yep, it's normal psychic. That is cool. Basculin got a new evolution called Basculegion. And Darby, I mentioned to you yesterday, Basculin is one of the most forgettable Pokemon of all time. And they just come up in here and like, hey, we're giving it a badass evolution. Evolution where they describe it as it evolves because it takes in the lost souls of its school that perished along the way.
That's metal as fuck.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's Water Ghost, and as far as I'm aware, this is only the second line with a Water Ghost pairing. So it's a pretty rare one, which is pretty exciting. And then we got Hisuian, because the Hisui region, not the Sinnoh region, that's what it's called in the before times. Hisuian Growlithe is a little nice fire rock puppy that most people love, but some people hate because its hair cover its eyes and has like a little beard and like it. But I like it's adorable.
Okay.
Yeah.
People find the weirdest things to be mad about in Pokemon.
They're not really mad. There's like, why do people like this? Not anger like they are angry at everything else. It is different. But I'm excited to see what Hisuian Arcanine looks like, or may it evolves into something else. Who knows? You never know with these things. Be fun. And Hisuian Bravery, which was Braviary, which like cool. It doesn't have the biggest like transformation between it, just different color palette and a different head thing, but it looks pretty cool. But something that some people pointed out could be a thing that I really, really hope happens. We got those starter Pokemon, Darby, and they're from different regions. The different regions. People are wondering maybe if we're getting Hisuian versions of their final evolutions or their evolved forms. So, like with Rowlet, you think it's going to be Decidueye. It evolves into Hisuian Decidueye or a completely different Pokemon, maybe. It could go in that direction.
Hidden.
I really hope so, because that'd be cool.
Did they do that for like the Alolan, whatever the hell's?
No, because all the other starters for all these other mainline games were the ones from that region. These are old Pokemon that are the starters for this one. So this is kind of the first game where they
didn't they have like Weezing at the top hat?
Yes, but those weren't the starters, Because we're talking about for the starter Pokemon for this one, the Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
The first Pokemon you choose that made their final evolutions, instead of the ones you think they're going to evolve into something different. Because the ones they kind of do already somewhat, Cyndaquil you got to kind of play around with a little bit, fit into the theme of old Japan stuff. But they can go even farther with that. Like for Oshawott, for instance, which I really hope they do. It is a samurai that's kind of stands on four legs most of the time. It's cool, but they could do better with. So people are wanting to just do the bipedal samurai thing, just go full on samurai with it, and I'm all for it.
Oh yeah!
So I hope they do that. So yeah, it's a lot, and I'm very excited for this game. Let's go. For Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It didn't really do much. It didn't move the needle for me one way or the other. It looks neat and everything. I still say if we decide to Nuzlocke it, I'll get it. But other than that, I'm not getting it.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Pokemon Unite Derby. Let's talk about that real quick.
Hey, Macarena.
That's how I think they started with this, actually. They announced the mobile versions coming September 22nd. So you can probably expect a new character that day.
Yes.
Whether it's Blastoise or someone else.
Still so surprised that the mobile version is so long after.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But
He's got the Switch version first.
Oh, yeah. I'm happy.
And we also got 2 new characters announced. We got Sylveon, which was leaked ahead of time and we knew about, but Mamoswine, a.k.a. Damiani from our Shield Nuzlocke was announced.
So many people that get that.
Yep. I'm very excited for both these characters. I'm glad we got an evolution one way or the other. Like, we knew an evolution was coming.
We at least have one.
Yes.
So you have something.
So, yeah, that's great. And Mamoswine is, again, one of those picks. Like, yes, they're not just going for the popular, obvious picks. This is a more out there pick, which is great.
Cool tank. Yeah, Mamoswine's awesome.
Yeah, I'm curious what role he's going to be in. Like, because he's a big boy, you keep on thinking defender, but I can see him just kind of be a slightly more tanky all-arounder or attacker.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Which would be really cool. And as far as the actual moves for him, he's a ground type and an ice type. Mm-hmm. So he can kind of do maybe a mix of like Crustle and Ninetales stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, freeze and maybe some just like
ground fuckery.
Yeah, ground fuckery. I could Mamoswine use ground fuckery. Oh boy. Yeah, that's gonna be in your Pokemon Indulgence or whatever the hell.
Yep. Yep.
And Sylveon is really cute.
It is very cute.
Yeah, it's very cute.
I'm very curious what its role is going to be. I'm really not sure.
Probably attacker, but maybe all
I think so. Yeah, I think attacker all arounder. I'd be a little surprised if there's anything else.
Yeah, I think one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But unfortunately, we hadn't really seen much of them. But Blissey is out, right?
Blissey is out. I tried her one in a practice match, but unfortunately, because the practice matches are 1-on-1, it's only so much you can do with a support.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah.
I had no one to heal.
So there's a practice tool in League, and like some of the healing characters that I take it there, I'm like, this is pointless.
Yeah,
I can't.
Like, okay. And I kind of want to wait because I've heard horror stories about solo queuing as Blissey, so I kind of want to wait till we can go in as a group, and then I'll jump in on her.
The general, like, you just can't trust people to just be normal in that game enough yet.
And the thing is that's scary about Pokemon Unite is, Darby, I'm liking all the Pokemon they're adding, so I gotta be like, I can't get all of these. So I gotta pick and choose. So like Blissey is like role-wise I won't. It's like I love Sylveon, but probably not gonna end up getting her. Mamoswine's probably gonna be more my type anyway. So.
Yeah. It's easier for me because I am a one-trick pony a lot of times, and I hone in and specialize. But I did start playing Jungle in League the last few days, and it's been very fun. It's been really good.
Fucking nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of nerds, what are those nerds that believed in Abandoned?
There's a lot of them.
Oh, it was funny because they kind of died down as it went on. Until only Holden remained. Love you, Holden.
Keep holding the torch. Keep holding the torch.
Okay, we peeked here. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Forever. But yeah, Daria, I feel like it's time to follow up on. We kind of talked about it in the beginning, and I've purposely not talked about it. And like, we can kind of bring it up even if we're a quick.
But then the people kind of gave us reasons not to talk about it because they're jank ass ARG.
Yeah, well, since the last time we talked about, a whole bunch of shit happened that kind of made people more believe that was Kojima related, and honestly did the opposite for me. Is like, okay, this is just kind of people reaching in. Like, did you hear about the whole saga with the picture with the guy with an eye patch?
I've heard everything kind of secondhand vaguely.
So there was a teaser thing that said abandoned and like a blurry picture of a guy with an eye patch. It's like, okay, it's like Big Boss or Solidus or whatever the fuck. I think it's Solidus because of where the eye patch actually was. It's like, okay, this is bad on Abandon. I admit to do this knowing what people are saying. But it's also like, it is a generic looking blurred white guy with an eye patch.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, they should know better. It's like, well, I don't know. That's not important. Well, then they've been teasing up this whole special interactive trailer thing where you can actually feel the special stuff in the controller when it's actually playing. Well, the release date was supposed to be like August 10th for some shit. That came and gone and just was when he's like, oh guys, we gotta delay it. And then it actually came out and it was 4 seconds long. And it was absolutely nothing.
A guy walking by, like boots walking.
Boring where people were fine was a joke.
It kind of like, it's so weird. Like, if you're gonna do an ARG like this, you need to be ready to do the ARG because like, there's nothing that will like take you out. I think there's nothing lamer than a delayed ARG.
Yeah.
Or honestly, just any ARG that fucks up. Because like, it kind of takes the whole like.
I think with this, regardless of the way people were looking at you at the time, you needed to make sure that thing was up to be able to like you press go and it is ready and then announce it.
Yeah, this needed to be tested and double tested and triple tested. Like this whole ARG thing shouldn't have started until like around now, and then it's like okay, ready. Yeah, because it's like. Yeah, they, like ARG things like this are so cool when they're done right, and there's all these like crazy steps that everyone has to go through. But if it messes up, then it's just like you're just gonna get made fun of, and you kind of deserve to be made fun of at this point.
Yeah, so all that people were upset, mad. Some people were just very entertained by this whole situation, like me.
Yeah,
and yeah, people were just kind of like saying forget this and all that kind of stuff, and like, oh, there are people kind of acting like, oh, this was obviously a scam from the start. It's like, no, you guys believe this from the beginning.
We won't let you.
We'll let you have that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely barely paid attention, but I can proudly say that I never like I was always like, this is a stretch. I do think that like it's a weird thing because it's like it's such mysterious marketing for a game that like from a developer that no one really knows and it's like it's definitely gotten a lot of attention on them, not for the right reasons, but I don't know.
Yeah. Something important, just in case people, people have been saying through this whole thing is like, well, if this wasn't a big deal, why would Sony post it on the blog? Well, we found out from the whole Epic Apple lawsuit that you just got to, or at least I think it was that you have to just pay Sony a certain amount of money to get a blog post. So the abandoned devs could have just done that.
So we could get a blog post.
Yeah, if we put up what $25,000 or shit it was. I can't remember. So all I'm just saying is that, for this whole thing, Sony necessarily did not have any financial stake in any of this,
right?
And didn't necessarily mean anything as far as Sony and all that kind of stuff,
right?
One way or the other. So yeah, this probably will be the end of the saga. Maybe, I don't know.
Every time you think it's the end, it's not.
No,
the actual game has to come out still at some point, so
maybe. Apparently the studio is known for, and this is part of the reason people thought it was the Kojima long plot. They have teased stuff and just never released it, but the one thing they released was really bad.
Yeah. So yeah,
a long time.
Saga's probably not going to end good.
No.
But will Halo Infinite end up good?
I'm going to read just a little quick thing for the Conma text. It's from Matt Kemp from IGN. Silverfleet Industries has announced that it's delaying campaign co-op and forwards for Halo Infinite till after launch. The developer focused on getting the single-player campaign and multiplayer done in time for its holiday release. In an August video update from the official Halo YouTube channel, Halo Infinite head of creative Joseph Staten confirmed that neither campaign co-op nor forwards will be in Halo Infinite at launch. He words confirmed that Halo Infinite is 100% committed to release the anticipated shooter this holiday. And Darby, I think we're probably gonna get that release date Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll plug that here and do it again at the end. Well, we're not reacting to the Xbox thing, but I'll be reacting to the Jeff Keighley's thing.
The Keighley's.
Yep, the Keighley opening night live thing, and obviously we'll talk about all the shit next week.
Yeah.
As well as Psychonauts 2. Which I guess they might show like a launch trailer at the Xbox's thing. It's like the day before. Sure, why not?
You don't need launch trailers.
I don't need it. I'm just saying that's what they might do.
Yeah.
So yeah, for this,
it kind of
should they delay it?
I mean, like I think like
okay. Let me rephrase it because they're kind of making it separate. Should they delay the campaign?
Probably. Like they've just put themselves in a hole where they've already delayed it so much, like so prominently, so many times after it's like it's the big thing for this console, and then had to delay it a full year. I understand that the PR hit of delaying it into 2022 would be very rough. Mm-hmm. Like the headlines would be not nice for Halo Infinite. And like it'll probably do a lot better if it does come out this fall and everything. Like I understand why not, but this does tell me that it's like this game is still coming in pretty damn hot, like even after all these delays and everything.
Well, I think it's it's always just kind of telling. It's not a surprise because they delayed it when they delayed it last year. They immediately said, "Oh yeah, it's coming out this time." Like they put holiday pretty quick.
Yeah, I kind of feel like from a business sense, no, because while I'm very excited to do the co-op campaign and everything. That probably between single player campaign, the multiplayer, and co-op campaign is probably the thing with the least amount of players or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it matters, but it's not like the multiplayer is the most important thing of all these things. And like as long as that comes out free to play this holiday, the story of Halo Infinite is not going to change because the co-op thing wasn't in there. I'll be a little bummed. There'll be other people that are bummed, but like I don't think this is going to... The story of Halo Infinite is not going to be drastically different if this thing's in it or not, reception-wise. Mm-hmm. But it is a bummer. Like so, like it probably, if I was a businessman there or whatever, I would probably not delay it either because of how many times it already has been delayed. Mm-hmm. If that makes
No, fair.
Like, yeah, obviously, probably should be delayed to like give things more time to happen. But I just think that.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. It is kind of also the thing of now that these two big things aren't coming, Forge or co-op.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, okay, you're not releasing the full thing in a way.
Yeah, but what games do release with all the stuff in it that launch nowadays anyway?
Psychonauts 2, let's go.
And I didn't even think about, like, honestly, probably like most of my time spent in a Halo game has been fucking around in Forge, either alone or with my friends.
Yeah.
I wonder how much I would enjoy that nowadays or whatever, but like I definitely for the nostalgia want to get in Forge and just like make a bunch of wacky bullshit.
I feel like as far as these two things, even though it's probably the more hype thing, Forge in a way is more okay to kind of come out later because it's kind of this bigger thing, and that's just kind of because it's kind of a bigger thing compared to that and kind of its own thing. It will just give Halo Infinite a nice post-launch boost.
Yeah, it'll be a good
in a way that co-op won't. Be kind of like, okay, here's co-op, but most people who care already played the campaign.
Yeah, it'll be like, you've already played the campaign, you've sat on that you've been doing multiplayer matches, and then like, remember how much fun you had in Forge as a kid? Here's Forge.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty excited for Halo Infinite overall. Though.
Yeah, especially to the multiplayer beta thing was.
And I want a
positive.
new multiplayer like game, and especially like a multiplayer shooter that I actually want to play. To play with like you and Alex and everything, because like Overwatch, I'm getting very tired of. Even Valorant, I'm like taking a pretty big break from or whatever. Like, and Halo, the mechanics of Halo is very fun, and I never really I wasn't really into shooters back then, so I never really played the Halo multiplayer all that much. Like I said, I was just that kid messing around with Forge, and I would play with my buddies, but we would just be dicking around. We were not doing like competitive shooting stuff or whatever. Which I'm excited to like try this out with Alex.
Yeah.
And you, if you want to get into Halo multiplayer.
Yeah, it's free. Why not? And Game Pass anyway. So
yeah.
We got Back for Blood as far as shooters go as well. That'll be fun.
We eat.
Also Game Pass. Let's go.
Ooh, baby.
And as I mentioned before, I am curious about Battlefield. Like we won't get it completely free right away on Game Pass, but I think we can at least dip our toes in. I'm curious to do that because that one's just like wild, chaotic fun.
Yeah, reception. The fact that we could try it, we might be able to quickly realize like, okay, this is a dumb thing that I just want to have on my computer. You know, I could see that happening.
Yeah. So.
And Battlefield Portal seems interesting.
Oh yeah.
Like speaking of just making wacky, crazy stuff.
This is true. Yeah. So, a lot of interesting shooters coming out. This is a big year for shooters. I guess we'll move on then, Darby. If you don't have anything else to say,
I'm just excited. I'm kind of surprised, but I'm excited.
Well, speaking of shooters and other news. Boom, boom, boom. Call of Duty Vanguard was announced as coming November 5th. This is where I, remind people of Activision and Blizzard real quick. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this was announced. Not surprised. Also, Darby, congrats on the big payout for the Gamescom mini betting special. You put $300 down on a 5-1 odds for this game being at opening night live. Confirmed to be there.
Take that, you number generator. Bitch.
You better hope Elden Ring's not there.
I know. I'm probably a freaking idiot on that one.
Yeah. I didn't look too much into this because I didn't know how you would feel on it.
Going back to World War II for like the 9th time.
But this is a what if scenario, Darby, where they're trying to find a replacement for Hitler and you're trying to stop them.
I don't think there's anything Call of Duty can do to make me care.
Yeah.
About Call of Duty.
Apparently they're doing a zombies thing where they're going to the origin of zombies or something.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, then we can move on because I don't know much to say in general. It's Call of Duty.
Even when I'm getting into shooters, I like shooters that have like cool other mechanics and abilities and shit like that. Call of Duty is just like it's just the shooting deathmatch thing, which I guess Halo is to a point, but there's like a bunch of different like jetpacks and energy swords and grappling hooks and all this other shit. It's like alien weapons. This is just the vibe of Call of Duty. The gameplay is just like so basic. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's just like it is a shooter. It's just the more like typical. There's just nothing about Call of Duty that interests me in the year of our Lord 2021. But more power to them.
How do you feel about Saints Row in the year of our Lord 2021?
Kind of same thing. There's really nothing about the Saints Row that interests me in the year of our Lord 2021, even though I have fond memories of Saints Row, just like I have fond memories of Call of Duty, but I feel like those chapters of my life are behind me. So there's a new Saints Row coming.
Yeah, the Saints Row reboot is going to be announced at Opening Night Live. That's already confirmed that's going to be there. I am interested in it, kind of more out of, what are they because Saints Row 4 came out 8 years ago, so I'm just curious what they're going to do with it 8 years later.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be drawn in. Odds are I won't be.
Yeah, I mean, and I really liked Saints Row the Third, but like I feel like I was the right age for that, where that humor hit with me. I feel like that humor would not hit with me at all now. If I played Saints Row the Third now, I would probably be like, oh god, why did I like this? Like, is how I would expect to.
Depending on the humor, like I can see potentially, depending on what they did with the game, if they kept the kind of chaotic open the world stuff, depending on what they did with it, and the humor and all that kind of stuff. That could scratch an itch for me. Like that's not really something I've had for a while. So I could see myself getting to that. But yeah, if they keep the humor 1-to-1, I'm with you. Where I'm like, I don't know if I can.
Yeah, it needs to be a modern version that's like self-aware and pokes fun at itself.
Yeah,
like even like its old self. Like there is a way to do it.
Yeah,
but it will not be easy.
Yes. Bugsnax is getting a Steam release next year, Darby, because it was exclusive to the Epic Game Store on PC. The Young Horses.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like PC for the first time. Okay.
But this is the reason I put it in here. Young Horses is also teasing, quote, some meaty news and a few juicy surprises to get people talking about Bugsnax again later this year. Yeah. So as Bugsnax fan number one, I am curious / excited for whatever this news is.
Brent would like a word.
Yeah. But I'm curious because the fact that the Steam version's not coming until next year and they're talking about news later this year. My hope is either maybe they quickly announce a sequel or it's like an expansion or DLC or some shit.
A new island.
Also, Fangamer, you need to put your Bunger plush back on sale. I want it.
Cowards. Yeah. We're coming for you.
Yeah. Notify me with that email. Bunger for life.
Bunger gang.
Bunger. Darby, are you familiar with the title Shining Force?
That sounds like an anime game with big titty ladies that's probably advertised to me on YouTube constantly for some reason.
How fucking dare you?
For some reason, even though I feel like you're the one who watches anime, you should be getting these ads, but for some reason I get them.
You're a true weeb.
I guess so.
But no, Shining Force is pretty anime, but it's not that kind of anime. But no, Shining Force is a series that I've loved since I was a child, wee lad, back in the PS2 or maybe even earlier. I can't remember. Okay, so for context, Shining Force 1 was like a strategy RPG akin to Fire Emblem.
Nice.
Probably the first one of those I played, actually, even before Fire Emblem, and I love that game. One of the characters is a useless little hamster named Jogurt.
I love useless hamsters.
I think you could train to be overpowered, but I didn't realize till afterwards. And then there was like these action RPG games that me and my sister loved playing together on the PS2.
No.
This is the series. Shining is the actual series. Shining Force is kind of a sub-series of it. And there are other games that aren't as good.
And now they have Shining Force Reverse 1.5 over 3 teraflops.
Well, the important thing is there hasn't been an actual Shining Force game in 13 years, and they announced one. It is a fucking mobile game. Fuck my life, you know? But they showed one screen of it, and it's like, oh god, this could actually be good. Don't get me down this rabbit hole, you fucking bastards. So yeah, that's where I'm at. It looks like it's gonna be Fire Emblem Hero-esque, maybe with the strategy RPG.
After listening to Frame Trap, how many more notches towards the world where you play Nier Reincarnation are we? Like,
I kind of forgot about it, so it will probably happen the next week.
Okay, I kind of figured that. I was listening to that episode and I was like, Jeff's probably gonna play this.
I am gonna play it. Ben was talking, I was like, okay, this is apparently more story here than I thought. I'm in, motherfucker. We'll see how long that lasts, but yeah, I'm in. At least try it out. Okay, moving on. People Can Fly have not made any money from Outriders. This is a quote from Andy Robinson from Video Game Chronicles article. People Can Fly claimed in an investor note on Tuesday that it was due royalties for sales on Outriders only after all costs of the game had been recouped by Square Enix. So apparently, all costs had not been recouped by Square Enix.
Which there's so many things. Like this had like a really good launch at first, and it seems like it sold a decent amount. But like we were all like, well, this is probably not going to be good for it though because it fell off a cliff, and it's a games as service, and it fell off a cliff. And they came out over and over again. No, it's not games as service. It's meant to be played in one go or whatever. I was like, oh, well, in that case, then this is probably really good for you. But then it kind of seems like no, it seems like
well, and also a big part of this,
like,
another big part of the story is I forgot to put it on here. Is People Can Fly do not know how much Outriders actually sold. They don't even know where it's at as far as recouping the costs, really. So that's kind of one of those things of like, Square, you need to let these people know. I mean, because
that's odd.
You got a contract. They deserve to know.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah. Square being weird, and also Square having crazy, wild expectations for their Western games.
Yeah, they always do this shit. It's so weird.
Yeah.
They're like Square sitting there like counting millions of dollars. They're like, yeah, it made no money. It's really weird. So
and here's the thing. I know Game Pass was part of this, but $3.5 million, that's only like 2 to 3 million less than Final Fantasy VII Remake last year.
Exactly.
So
like,
it's not like the remake is doing exponentially better.
Like maybe it's because of my low expectations, but $3.5 million, I'm like, goddamn, Outriders, okay, good for you. Shit. That's more than I thought you.
Well, speaking of stuff probably surpassing expectations, Control surpassed 10 million players.
Way surpassed my expectations.
Yeah, and that includes like Game Pass and the like, but still
I never thought it would be anywhere close to 10 million. Like I thought this was like a niche thing that like got a little bit more popular than a niche thing. It's like, no, this is like has to like. Oh, I mean, I guess Alan Wake was a big moment, but I doubt Alan Wake sold 10 million copies or anything. Really.
Yeah, it's definitely their best receipt, or best received from a financial whatever standpoint, easy, and it makes more sense why they are getting all these big contracts now.
Yeah. I think they've done a very good job of putting this thing on sale a bunch and Game Pass. And all. Like they've done a very good job of marketing this post launch to get a bunch of sales. So like whatever. But I mean, still, that doesn't account for 10 million. Like you have a hit on your hands if you're getting 10 million, regardless of what else you did. So it's like,
well, especially in even like Game Pass people, they still got to buy the DLC. Yeah, like if you get some of those people.
I wonder if they will do more Control now. I mean, they ended in a way where they could or could not. I mean, they seem like a type of developer who would not want to.
Then I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, haven't they already at least announced another game in the Control universe, even if not necessarily Control 2? It was like Control
cross Alan Wake, but wasn't that a DLC?
That was, but I feel like they already confirmed.
Maybe they did, I don't know.
I can check real quick before we move on.
I would certainly be very interested, but they have some things they need to correct.
Okay, Control 2 has been pretty much confirmed.
Okay. Cool.
Or, yeah.
Very cool game.
Yes. Yeah. I need to try it at some point.
You will like it. It's very good.
At the very least, I could play on my PS5 where it won't have much problems technically.
Oh god, the frame rate was just miserable, and just the combat wore out its welcome by the end. Yeah. But it was still very good. Yeah.
Yes. All right, Darby, it is time for the main topic. Main topic. Time for that 12 minutes kind of little Spoilercast. For a game only I completed. Okay, so
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. William Dafoe. Come in the room.
Say the line. Which line? You did it.
You made my favorite dessert. I'm William Dafoe. That's what I sound like. Hey.
Howdy ho. So yeah, I guess we'll start with that whole spoiler-free thing.
Yes, so you played all of it. I played like an hour of it. That's where we're at.
Yep.
Okay, spoilers. I'll briefly start.
Okay.
Even for my 1 hour, I definitely felt like this game was just very tedious, and like the gameplay was not really what I wanted it to be, and I felt like the dialogue is there's just a lot of things to where I feel like the execution of this game was very poor, and like the acting or whatever, I guess on its own is like, I don't know. I can't even say it's good because it just feels like, all of the lines are so fucking disjointed because like it's very obviously just canned dialogue that they did not act with each other on, and half of like they have from the bit I played, they have very few moments where it feels like they're saying something like back and forth to each other. It's just like they're saying things that can be triggered from 1,000 different things. So it all sounds so wooden and just disjointed. And I'm taking out the conversations like every 20 seconds because like they'll just speak, they'll like respond in an inflection. It'll be like, yeah, what do you think about this? I think it's like, it was like, wait, what the fuck? It's like there's just like the actual cohesion, and it's just poorly made. It's just a poorly made game. It has cool ideas. It's poorly made. I don't really like it.
It's not. I don't think it's a very good game, unfortunately. I think it started out well enough. Like you said, the ideas were cool. I felt like they were doing pretty good, even with some of the just joining this. But the longer you play it, the more it's like, okay, this is a lot more kind of like there's only really one solution. There's stuff you can do, but it's all wrong. So then you just got to do everything again.
And yeah, that loop is not satisfying. The getting something wrong and then trying to figure out.
And it's just like, the tiniest things. There's one thing later where you got to present something to someone, and I think I got it pretty quick. But reading other people's stuff, like it's a pretty small window, so people just missed it and they had to go through the whole thing again.
Yes, and that is like someone needed in QA testing needed to like tell them like we need to go back to the drawing board and this whole idea of like this loop thing. There's a version of this that can work, but you're inherently going to be going through things over and over again a lot or whatever to get this right. And the fact that like even in 1 hour, I was so goddamn tired of the police officer. Like whenever I get to the end, and obviously I have it figured out how to solve whatever in that run. So the police officer takes everyone to the ground. I'm just like, please skip. Why aren't you letting me skip? I'm like, escape. Do I have any skip option? Oh my God.
I think they should have had an easy, like, I mean, obviously if you kill, you get restarted. And if you walk out the apartment room, it restarts. They should have just had like a simple button. You just press it. The loop restarts because no matter because the loop starts the same no matter what, maybe with slightly different dialogue at a couple key points, but when you failed
Jason Schreier actually mentioned this even better than that. A game that does this perfectly is Overboard, the game I've been talking about the last few weeks.
I need to play that.
You do. No, just go play that. That's a way better 12 minutes.
I'm gonna play it.
But like, Overboard has a thing where like if you do a run, when you start the next run and if you want to do like the same options up to a certain point, you can just press a button and skip to that point where you want to make a different decision. So it's like you're going through a bunch of loops, but it never like the time you're actually spending is way less. And it's just like I want to do almost everything the same, but then in the middle of the day I want to make this change. You can kind of just skip to that point in the day, and it like saves you so much BS time of reading the same things over and over again. And this is even way worse than that because it's not just reading, it's like the acting has to go through, and their animations are very wooden and very slow, and they have to go through these canned things. And like I said, I only played an hour and I was getting very tired of watching this.
Well, the more I play it, the more it's like, oh, I don't care what the story is. I knew you weren't going to like the actual game playing it. I know you.
You're right. You do know me. You do know me.
But I didn't want to say it in that much terms and influence you too much.
There's just like, I mean, like the idea is there, and I think this could have been a good game, but the fact that it didn't turn into a good game from this amount of time and this much like publicity on them, it's like things just need like. I don't know. There's just you needed the speed. You needed to have a way to like get people past the certain things or whatever. I mean, it's not like this is the first game that's done like loops that you're going through for a story like this. It's not like a wholly unique type of concept, and there's ways to get around it. Even like Life is Strange with the rewind time thing, that was never like fucking annoying because you can go back and forth. You know, you can like you're to your decisions in a snappy way, and so you get to focus on what am I going to do differently this time? In 12 minutes, it's like, what am I going to do differently in 3 minutes when I'm finally past all this bullshit? You know, it's like, that's just not good. That's not.
Yeah, well, and a lot of this stuff maybe could be forgiven if the story stuck the landing.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm just gonna let Jeff spoil it for me.
So you want to get into spoilers now?
Yeah.
Do you got anything more to say?
I also just think like just a lot of things in this, like the game thinks it's more clever than it is with a lot of the puzzle solution stuff, and a lot of it's like I was just reminded that I was playing a video game constantly.
The stuff you actually got to do, because it is a very linear thing. A lot of stuff is very obtuse. Like it is, like I get it that a lot of the stuff is like time loop things. Just by the nature of it, is going to be somewhat trial and error. But this was too much of that, and just kind of like we've been talking about, the fact that you got to go through everything in the loop just for the slightest change is.
Yes, and like it's little things. I brought this up to Jeff before. I mean, it feels like somewhat nitpicky, I guess, but it's just all these things compound to each other. Like whenever there's a thing where you're trying to prove to your wife that you're in this time loop, so you like choose what to prove it with, and then you just start like clicking things around the room. He'll just be like, all right, let me prove it to you, and you click the chair, and he's like, what about the kitchen chair? And she's like, what about it? And he's like, oh yeah, you're right, that's stupid. And then you click on the fridge, what about the fridge? And it's like, what about the fridge? Oh yeah, that's stupid. I'm like, what is this conversation? It just completely took me out of everything, you know? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, that should have been an internal monologue, if anything, you know, or just to be like, there's nothing to do with that. It's like, why is that a thing talking out loud? And like, I don't know if you got this, I never felt any connection to the people talking. Like, it's again the disjointedness, and it's like looking at the trailers, whoever cut the trailers did a fucking fantastic job of making this game look cohesive and making these characters like, because I think the individual voice lines on their own are like impressive taken out of context, but like these always felt like two video game NPCs shouting canned lines at each other. Yeah, the more I talk about it, I just like, it's just not well made. It's just really not well made.
Barry, it's gonna get worse for you.
I
promise you.
I'm kind of excited now. All right, so
I'm making sure I got it up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, from this point onwards, make sure you either have played 12 minutes or you're like me and you kind of don't care at this point. So, and if you do, so if you're bowing out, we'll see you next week. Make sure you check. Yeah.
Psychonauts 2, I will be playing it. I will have impressions. May not get done with it, but obviously that we'll have talks about Jeff Keighley's Open Night Live. I'm going to react to it as well as the Xbox Gamecom thing. And if by some crazy thing I get a bunch of time and finish Psychonauts 2, may I have no more Hero Sleeve impressions? Probably not, but you can expect those in the next week or two.
Hell yeah. Look forward to it. So peace, you guys. The 12 minutes gang is staying.
All right. So yeah, Darby, as far as you pretty much did it after the last thing you saw was
I guess somewhat start from the beginning in case there's people like, I kind of have a feeling Jacob might just be like, all right, fuck it, and listen.
Okay, so you kind of start, the story starts off and the man's coming in for the first time and like, you know, it's starting normal. Oh, his wife's got things prepared with his favorite dessert and lets him know, hey, she's pregnant. It's like, okay, cool. And it makes some later things pretty disturbing, actually. Going in there, she does it with she tells him by presenting her a baby onesie with the name Dahlia on it. Mm-hmm. Very important later.
Black Dahlia murder?
Yes. Doing all that kind of stuff. The cop comes in at some point in the loop, like, I don't know, about 5-6-ish minutes into it, starts coming in or something like that. Comes in like, you murdered your father to the wife or whatever, and then kills you. Like, it's like, this has nothing to do with you, but he strangles you anyway. Every time. Yeah. You don't even do anything. He just strangles you.
I'm just here, man.
Even though he says, no, you're good. I just want her. But he kills you anyway.
Yeah, he said you're good.
Yeah. And then that happens, blah, blah, blah. Then the time loop starts. He tries to convince the wife. She doesn't believe him at first. You got to find some ways to do it. You end up using the onesie and lightning, knowing lightning's about to strike to do it, all that kind of stuff. Then it's like, okay, you got that kind of stuff. Now figure out what this whole cop is about. So I think the main thing you do next is you hide in your closet. The wife doesn't think you're home, so it's only really her and the cop, and he kind of tortures her some and kills her.
Yes.
And gets information about a pocket watch that he wants and finds out where it is, and then the loop starts again. Also, that man is was pretty calm about his pregnant wife getting shot in the head.
Oh my god, yes.
Did you just put that deep in your mind?
That was the end. That was the last. I was like, I'm fucking done. Shit.
It's like,
oh no, my wife. Anyway, let me step over her.
Yeah.
And there's like just no dramatic tension to fucking anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carrie. Yeah, that was the most egregious.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact order of necessarily everything. So you do that kind of stuff, and you get the watch out to kind of show her to her to ask her questions, and then it turns out she killed her dad, blah blah blah, and that's what the cop is. So you're figuring out, okay, but why does the cop care and all that kind of stuff. So
this is where I don't know anything.
Yeah. So what you do, the trick to this is, and again, pretty obtuse, you got to kind of play around with things. You have to drug your wife with sleeping pills you find in the bathroom.
Okay, I did find the sleeping pills.
Yeah, to make her fall asleep. And then hide in the closet. The cop goes in there, but you got to make sure, that light switch that shocks people. You have to turn it off. You had to turn it on.
I thought it just electrocutes you anytime you turn.
No. It kind of just gives you a little shock.
Yeah.
You got to
I
turn.
definitely died from the light.
Yeah. So what happens if you turn it on, turn it off, and then turn it on a second time? It electrocutes you. So you got to make sure it's turned on before the wife goes in there. So she turns it off. And then when you hide in the closet, the cop comes in, goes in there, switches it on, and gets electrocuted. And then you quickly go to him, take all his inventory, and tie him up. Okay. And then you interrogate him. But you just ask him questions, he's like, kind of like, fuck off, I'm not telling you shit. So you can either stab him in the arm or leg, or shoot him in the arm or leg. And he's like, oh God, he's serious. Then he pretty much talks about how the wife's dad was like her... like his best friend and all that kind of stuff, and how she killed him and all that kind of stuff. And you learn that she originally shot the dad or the wife believes that she killed him on Christmas or Christmas Eve, but according to the cop, she came back. He survived the Christmas Eve shooting, and then she came back on New Year's Eve to finish the job. But that's not possible, because if you look on the picture on the fridge, it shows her, obviously in someplace far away on New Year's Eve. Okay. So she couldn't have done it. Also, something that is so fucking stupid is you have to look at the picture and click on it and have internal monologue about it. You'd be like, this exonerates her, but it has to finish the whole line. So I immediately go to that picture. This is what happened to me. I went to that picture, grabbed it, started reading it. The wife comes out and kisses you like she does at the beginning of everything. So it didn't finish the line read. So I do the whole thing again, show him the picture, and he's like, what does that got to do with anything? And your guy's like, oh yeah, what does that have to do with that? So I had to go back and make sure I read the whole fucking thing.
Stupid.
And then he's like, oh wait, you're right, and all that kind of stuff. Also, you can grab his phone, look at it, and it turns out his daughter has cancer, which is important because that's why he wants to watch, because it's expensive as fuck. Okay. So he only goes there not to avenge his friend, but to get the watch to pay for his daughter's cancer treatment.
Just to get money. There's
pretty much
simpler ways to get money.
Yeah, I might be skipping on some things, but who gives a shit? Then the thing you need to do next is, because you look at his phone, you memorize the daughter's number. So what you need to do is grab your wife's cell phone, which is in the closet, to call the daughter before he gets there. After you convince the wife that she didn't.
The thought of having to put all these steps together, makes me like. I'm so glad I'm not playing this game.
Oh wait. Also, something else. At some point, and this is important, you learn through the wife's story that the reason that she was kind of upset with her father is he had an affair with the nanny and had an illegitimate child, and the mother was upset about it. So yeah, there's that.
Didn't she say that he was having an affair when she talked about killing him?
She said it at some point. The point is, at this point, you know about all that shit.
I don't think she said anything about the illegitimate child.
Or it comes up. I can't remember when it comes up.
Yeah.
Point is, the illegitimate child.
Yes. Yeah.
And the mother hated it, and I don't know. She died at some point.
Okay.
And called it monster, which will also be important. So what you do is once you convince the wife that you convince. What's funny is once you do all this, when you talk to the wife to convince her you're in a time loop, it goes through this whole spiel. It's like, I'm in a time loop. You didn't kill your father. It was actually your brother. Who, you know, I can't remember where exactly it says, but at some point she mentions like, yeah, I technically have a brother. The dad had a brother or a son with a nanny.
Okay.
But it was weird because we kind of learn it from her, but she's also during that whole thing, it's like, wait, I have a brother? Yes. It's like, wait, we learned that from you. And then once you convince her all that, and like, okay, a cop's coming, we gotta talk to him. And like, and convince them you're innocent and all that's like, okay. And she's kind of standing there on the couch like, oh God. All this shock at once. She takes it pretty well overall, despite all this. But then you go call the cop's daughter on the phone and be like, yo, your dad's coming to kill me and my wife. She's innocent. Can you call your dad to tell him to just listen to us? And the daughter's like, okay, but you better lose my number. After like a 30-second conversation, the cop's daughter's like, sure, I'll call my dad to tell him to listen to you, random stranger.
Okay.
So he does that. The cop's like, okay, you better have you got some explaining to do. Tell me what's going on. And then the wife's like, okay, let me tell you. Look at this picture. Look at the date. I couldn't have killed my father. And he's like, Egad, you're right. It's like, who could have done it? It's like, it was my brother. It's like, oh. And they mention like, oh, little, like, the wife's mom called it like little monster or the monster or something. Which also I don't like because of the stigma that bastard children are monsters and that kind of stuff. Like it's not the child's fault, but whatever.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, when your father's last words were monster. It all makes sense now. Then he's like, okay, well then the wife gives him the watch, and it's like, here, I know about your daughter's cancer. Here, pay. He's like, thank you. Don't worry, we'll find your brother. And then because we know who the mother is, the wife is like, do you know anything about the nanny? It's like, oh, it's been so long. All I remember, her name was Flowery Daisy something.
Daisy Ridley.
So Darby, this is the important thing. Remember when I mentioned the onesie?
Yes.
The name on it was Dahlia.
For the for the onesie.
Yeah. When you click on it, when you look at it with the guy, it says, this was my mother's name.
Okay.
And then you present the onesie, which is what I mentioned earlier about that really split second thing. You got to show the cop to be like, was this the name? And he's like, yeah, that was it. It was Dahlia. The main character and the wife were brother and sister.
So wait, you are the bastard?
You are the bastard. You killed the father.
What? Okay.
So once you realize this, so apparently your character forgot all of this.
Oh fuck! I was about to say like, what? I was like, so are you the bad guy the whole time? And you've been lying?
You actually
but like you've been lying.
Well, okay, Darby, more happens. Yes, that's the point where people were like, fuck off game, because incest is, that baby's an incest baby. So then after that loop, you get, I believe that's when, let me see. Okay, so yeah, you go into,
this is like the not as fun version of Danganronpa 3. You tell me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Danganronpa 3 is an absolute fun trip. So yeah, after that, you get a little flashback to the, I guess, years in the 8 years or whatever the fuck it is, with your character talking to his dad, being like, you can't do this, He's breaking it down like the person you love is actually your sister. You can't do this, but your character's like, no, I love her. And they get into a scuffle and accidentally shoot him.
So you accidentally, okay.
You apparently accidentally shoot him. And also the dad's voiced by Willem Dafoe.
Okay.
As well.
Oh, wait, I was about to say, he was the police. Are they the same person?
Just wait.
Oh my God.
Then the man returns to reality at that point or at some point you do a little more things. I can't remember exactly at this point. You do some weird. I think at this point if you bring out, you got to figure this out. You got to bring out the little stopwatch thing, and then it starts going backwards or some shit. And once it gets to 2 minutes before 12, you go back to the dad or something, and he's like talking to you again. But this time I think at the first time you meet him, he has a full head of hair when the cop's bald. So that's why I confuse me. Like, why is he voiced by Willem Dafoe? I'm very confused right now. Oh wait, the thing in between these two things is you can tell your wife or that you are brother and sister. She's naturally disgusted. He's like, we gotta tell the cop, and you do when you tell him everything in another loop. And he's like, the cop tells the brother, who's like, you better hope I never see you again. But then he takes the watch to go pay for his daughter's cancer treatment.
Yeah.
So you go back to the loop. You go back, you do that whole stopwatch thing or whatever, and then you go back. Now the dad's bald and still Willem Dafoe. I'm trying to remember. So
Your dad's Daisy Ridley this time.
Yep. Oh, so you can decide at some point, like, if it's best to just decide if you want to continue pursuing the daughter, or just like, no, this is wrong, let's just leave it alone. If you choose to leave it alone, you go back through a loop again where you're starting in the elevator. You go into the empty apartment, which is empty, but only the watch is there. So you go pick it up, or back in the vent. So you go take it. It's frozen, so you have to manually put it back to 2 minutes before. And then you go back to doing the dad again. Oh, it was also important in one of these things, you need to ask the wife about what book she is reading multiple times, because you have to say the quote to the dad. Whatever quote she says at some point.
God, I have no desire to do that.
And then at some point, and during that last loop, the dad's like, okay, pretty much like, I'll hypnotize you so you can forget all about it. So you do that, and Willem Dafoe's going through this long dialogue, and then you're just watching the clock. It just zooms in on the clock while he's talking, and that's the end. Also, if I haven't made it clear at this point, because I'm just explaining things off of memory, what me and a bunch of other people got from it, the whole time loop thing, because of the fact that Willem Dafoe is the dad and the cop, and the fact that they look exactly alike, is that whole thing was in the guy's head. None of it actually happened, besides the hypnotizing.
Like the after the cop coming in to...
Literally, the whole cop thing never happened. The cop doesn't actually exist. That's just what he kind of saw his father as. He's apparently imagining what it'd be like if he did pursue his sister and the consequences of it. It's fucking stupid.
All right, no, thanks. Thanks.
Are you okay with me going out and spoiling all this for you?
Yeah, like,
I mean, I know this is me explaining.
He never did pursue his sister. Is there a reason why he's like horny for his sister? Did he know his sister?
I think the way it's supposed to go is they met outside of it, but then the dad was kind of like, I know who you are. No, this is your sister.
What the fuck?
And so the people are very confused about what it actually is, but most people are standing on the actual game part was all like the time loop stuff was all in his head.
I definitely get what a lot of people were like. What was the message? What was the point of this fucking game?
I think what I've seen people say this, and I agree. I think they had the idea for the time loop and started from there.
It seems fucking like it.
So yeah, like the story's not good.
It sounds like such a waste of a pretty cool premise.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, it sounds really fucking stupid. even if it was gonna be something that was all in his head, which is lame in general, but like it was all in his head because he's horny for his sister. Like, what kind of weird, like,
Yeah.
And like, so it's not even like the fact that Willem Dafoe and the guy are the same person is not even like another weird, interesting twist. It's just in his head.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they don't outright say it, but it's the only way I can take it because they're the same. Like, the first time you see the dad is, he has hair and it's different, but still voiced by Willem Dafoe. Obviously, it's the same exact voice. But then it shows later, and the guy's bald and looks exactly like the cop.
And then, so why is he bald now?
I think it was to make you think, oh, why is he also voiced by Willem Dafoe? That's weird. And that's why it's like, oh, they were the same person, but it's fucking stupid.
What was the reason why he had hair and then didn't have hair?
To throw you off the scent originally, to make you think they're not the same person, but make you think, why is he?
I'm asking story wise, like why would he have hair and then not have hair?
Just to throw out the player.
That's not a reason.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the reason the devs did it. The only thing I could think of.
Stupid. No, I get why the devs did it. I'm just saying why. Yeah. Like, what reason is there for that?
I guess
you can't just do.
I guess the reason is because technically, then the brother was still in denial about it in a way. So he's kind of like, oh, this cop and
did the wife kill anyone?
No, technically no. Technically, you did.
Then where did she get this idea that she killed someone?
But okay, so what happened was on Christmas Eve, she did shoot her dad, and he was bleeding out a lot.
So she did that.
Yeah,
she just didn't.
He didn't actually die there. You actually killed him a week later. Also, the dad in the flashback was actually pretty, energetic despite being shot and losing lots of blood just a week earlier. I mean, because it is all in his head.
So did she know you at that time? She didn't know you at that time, or
I don't know when they actually met.
Okay.
Because technically this is all in their head. I guess they would know each other because of the whole thing.
She left to the city and met you, so probably not.
Well, okay, but again, here's the thing. Because technically a week later they get shot and it was over her. Technically they did, but yeah, in the story they say they technically met later. Remember, this is all in his head, so it's all stupid bullshit.
Yeah, because
Darby, it doesn't make sense.
There's no interesting connections to this, and there's no way you could have gotten this or something. Because it's she shot her dad back then or whatever, and a week later you shot him, but then you two didn't meet until way later.
Darby,
they never met at all.
Technically, the only thing that's canon potentially is the dad hypnotizing him. Is potentially the only thing canon, or you shooting the dad. Technically, because it's in his head. The wife maybe never shot the dad. Technically, in reality, it's stupid.
Right.
Technically, nothing matters.
Well,
besides the fact that this guy's in love with his sister. That's the only thing that's technically true.
That's a cool thing to have your only sense of reality is.
Yeah. I think I explained it well enough. This game's just stupid.
That sounds pretty damn stupid.
That's why I wasn't I didn't want to push you to deal with just spoiling here, but I was also like, I think you'd be fine if I just.
That's disappointing.
Yeah,
that's pretty disappointing, and surprising to see all the 9 out of 10s and stuff.
Yeah, this is one of those where I just don't get it. Just all the way around, it's.
Like I said, the whole concept of this and even going through the loop every 12 minutes could certainly be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, I'm cool with loop game to play. No CS, something I'm loving this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very cool concept. And
Overboard.
Yeah.
We're both playing the loop games. So
we're in for the shit. Everyone go play Overboard. That's the moral to this whole story is everyone go play Overboard.
So I think we got to shoot in for biggest disappointment of the year.
Yeah. I very rarely see you that animated about disliking a game.
At the end of it, I was like, what the fuck was that? It's one of those, the more I thought about it, was that was just so not.
It's not even the cool what the fuck. It's just
obviously. You mentioned Dung or Alpha V3. Yeah. I love my what the fucks. This is the bad one. Well, also I mentioned something or thinking about something with the whole incest thing. I kind of realized earlier when the brother came into play and he killed him. I'm like, who could it be? There's only 3 characters, and it better not be the brother. because I'm like, it's probably gonna be someone we've like. They're gonna pull some bullshit out of their ass. There's only 3 characters in this. It's probably the brother. And I had the realization, like, no. We'll just see what happens. Oh God, I was right. I saw multiple people have that realization. It's
about
like
you being the brother.
No, yeah. It's like, who else could it be?
Yeah, but if it was someone else, then it's gonna be something out of left field that is not earned.
There's also, well, the ending was still out of left field. So bad.
I definitely have to go. Like, I'm definitely gonna go. Like, at least watch skip to the end and watch that whole thing. I just want to.
Yeah. It's gonna be a weird thing. I'm curious to see your reaction to, or hearing your reaction to actually seeing it, because it's one thing to play through it and then also hearing it and then just seeing it later. You may not think it's as bad.
Even listening to you explain putting all these things together and having to figure that out.
Yeah.
With the gameplay.
Well, that's kind of part of it. Trying to figure it all out, and then that's what you get. It's like, oh God.
And knowing that how obtuse and kind of tedious the gameplay loop was for 1 hour, the thought of figuring all that out, I probably would have rage quit long before I got to the end. And if I did play through and get to the end, I'd probably be even more mad than you. I'd be like, "Are you fucking?" Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. That was fun hearing it from you. You know, I had a good time. But
moral of the story: incest bad.
That's the moral of 12 minutes. Or is that the moral? It sounds like incest might be good for 12 minutes.
Wait, I forgot. Then why was I can't remember. Did they say why Dolly was the ones? Yeah, we gotta stop. Okay, bye.
Yeah, why is Dolly?
Because it's in his head.
But why in his head is he naming his incest baby after his mom?
I don't know. He gets stupid.
It's in his head, so it can literally be anything. All right. Bye.